Hey everyone, and welcome to our brand new series called Share Your Story. In this series, I am going to be interviewing internationals in Toronto and just asking them questions on their experiences living in the city. So I'm really excited to introduce my first guest. His name is Matt, and he moved here from the Czech Republic about a year and a half ago as a student. And so we're gonna ask him some questions today and get to know him a bit. So without further ado, let's bring on Matt. Okay, everyone, this is Matt.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's just jump right into the questions.
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
So you moved to Toronto about a year and a half ago. It was March 2017, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And when you were making that decision to move to the city from the Czech Republic, what was that decision-making process like? What was that transition like, and how did you prepare?
Probably different for every person, right? But because I traveled quite a few times before I moved to Toronto and I lived in another country, so that prior experience helped me. So I know sort of what I was getting into, that feelings, of being in a new place, new environment, so that helps, but not everyone has a prior experience.
So where were some of the other places that you traveled to?
I lived in Florida in the States, I lived in the Netherlands, and and that's it, and the Czech Republic.
So when you were preparing to come to Toronto, you reached out to other people that were living here. Were they native Torontonians, or were they people from the Czech Republic or any other internationals?
There are a lot of groups on Facebook. That's how I started. Only maybe 2 of them answer regularly on all the questions. But that helped me in the beginning. And then you search in your own network at home, because I have a friend who's actually was in Canada for half a year. He actually arranged my first accommodation here when I came. I stayed with his friend here in Toronto while I was looking for a place.
So going off of your first 2 weeks here in Toronto, what was your first impression versus your expectations before you came here?
I've never lived in a city this big, so my expectations were set from Florida, which I live in the suburbs, which is very different from the city. It took time for me to get used to, but now I love the city.
So Toronto is not the cheapest place to live in the world, and
True.
Money can be a really big concern for some people. So how did you plan and prepare, financially for this move?
Oh, coming back to what I said, you can find out what are the minimal costs sort of to survive in the city, to live, with pleasures and to save.
So what are some of the expenses in Toronto that people should prepare for?
So definitely number 1 is accommodation. So how much you're gonna pay for rent. Number 2, food. Depending where you live, you will need money for public transportation, or TTC, how it's called in Toronto. Either a monthly pass, or you will travel 3 times a week, whatever, but it depends where you live again. So again, where you live, how far are you from downtown, how far are you from work, potential work, or school. As for me.
How much did you save before you moved to Toronto?
As a part of applying for a student visa, you have to submit a bank statement with a minimal amount of money that is required for you to have in order to get the visa. And for me, I think it was $10,000.
Wow. So study your visa applications if you're coming from a new country.
Yeah, I'm not sure about.
Study the minimal amount that you need to have, and then try and save a little bit more on top of that, just in case. Obviously, a lot of people who come here do not have a ton of savings to live without working. You have to either work part-time if you're a student here, or you're coming here and you're hoping to work full-time. So when you were searching for a job, what were some of the major difficulties that you had in that process?
So because again, you are new to the city, then you have no idea how you can read about it and hear about it from other people, but again, the personal experience can be quite different. The difficulties for me were twofold, I would say, because I came here being a student and an international. So for me, the difficulty was to find a job during the day, each day, or during the weekend, because I had a limited availability. And for all students, right, you have a schedule and you need to work around the schedule.
And it can be spotty, like you can have an evening class and you might have a morning class and you'll have an afternoon class.
Some people have a weekend class as well. So, sorry. So, and as an international, I was coming and I had a full-time, fully-fledged experience, which I thought, everybody's gonna be so excited, here because I have this great experience.
Because you had experience from the Czech Republic, so you thought
for international company, that's even in Toronto. So it was like, it should be easy. I mean, come on, I have a master's degree.
It's harder than it seems.
But you find out that no one cares, and no one cares.
Yeah, it's
like until you get some Canadian experience, sort of, no one cares what's your experience from back home. Like you're in Canada
To
now.
an extent, I think
so-
maybe that's different for everyone, but for the most
Yeah,
part.
for the most on average. So you have to network again a lot. So someone will appreciate what experience you have, but it takes time. It's not like you come and the next month you got yourself a dream job. No, it takes time. It takes months to network, to find the right people and the job that you actually love.
Okay, so on the job front, just really quickly,
Yeah.
what were some of the most important aspects for you? What were some criteria that you needed to be filled from this job while you were a student?
So number one, it fits my schedule, so I can go to work and study at the same time. It's reasonable close, so I don't spend hours commuting, and you inform where that place is. The place good, right? For example, if you're going to work in a restaurant, if you network, do you know someone who works there, or maybe your friend works there? So ask like how the place is, or if you go even on Google and you see reviews of customers who go there, right? You don't want to be working in a place that has a 2-star out of 5. It's probably a shitty place. You want to be working in a nice place if you care, right? And if you want to make some good money, and it should be a long-term
enjoy
commitment.
yourself. You should want to enjoy yourself because you're moving to a new city and you want
Exactly.
to have fun. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show and talking a little bit about your experience. We actually did something quite fun last weekend where we went out to a few of Matt's favorite places in the city.
Yeah. So definitely. I hope you will enjoy them, and let's check them out.
Tell me why you like university.
I like university because it's a magnificent big street. 6, 8 lanes, tall buildings around. It's just like, I feel like it's like a major vein. Vein. My V's are bad. Major vein, connecting north with the south. And if you look up there, there's actually a parliament building. I mean, you cannot really see it, but that's where Ontario Ontario Parliament sits. So it connects Queen's Park, where the building is, with the south, with the lake.
So right now I happen to be in underground Toronto, which is called The Path. I challenge anyone with any sense of orientation to come here and join me how to get from one point to the other, because I guarantee you'll get lost 20 times on your way out.
I lost Matt. Oops.
Again, I get lost. I've been living here for a year and a half, more almost. And I don't even know where I am. Just as I was talking earlier, just look at this. This is south and this is north, okay? And this is east and this is west. So here is Union Station. So this is basically the main railway station, you know, in very south downtown Toronto. And here is the City Hall. This is a 25 minute walk probably. And you can all do it underground, so you can actually get underground in the City Hall and go all the way to the Union Station without having to step outside.
Do you have any advice for people trying to attempt the path?
Yeah, don't do it. I mean,
Or
do
read
it,
the
but
signs.
like be ready to get lost. So you just have to go, be patient, and it's gonna take a while, but then when you find your route, you're fine. That's how you do it. So we are going to Elephant and Castle now, because it's cold as outside, and we need to warm ourselves up. And yeah, it's a typical, drink, food place, Toronto. So, and it's very close, which is convenient.
wraps up our first episode of the Share Your Story series. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to our first guest, Matt, for being on the show. It was a great experience to hear about his stories in the city. And if you want to be on the show and share your story, just shoot me an email. I'll put it in the description box below and you can come be on the show. Thank you guys again so much. Don't forget to click subscribe and the notification button to be notified whenever we post a new video. And until next time, we'll see you later, guys.